let's go to the Senate now. The Senate right now hearing arguments pushing for the passage of the highly anti-free speech. It's called Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. And they're pushing Congress to adopt the IHRA's definition of anti-Semitism. So just so we're clear, the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism is as follows, and I'm going to quote it now. Anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed towards Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and their property, toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. So one of the rabbis, Shemtoy there, told the senators that the federal government must pass the Anti-Free Speech, Anti-Semitism Awareness Act and that universities that tolerate anti-Semitic harassment must face real consequences. Listen.
The federal government must take urgent steps to address this crisis. The anticipated passage of the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act is a crucial measure that will help define and combat anti-Semitism in educational institutions. The adoption of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism is another necessary step, as it provides a clear framework for recognizing and addressing anti-Semitic incidents. Without these defining developments, universities and administrators will continue to exploit loopholes to avoid taking real action. Moreover, federal authorities must demand a safe learning environment for all students, including Jewish students. Universities that tolerate anti-Semitic harassment should face real consequences. The previous administration took some steps in recognizing anti-Semitism as a national concern, hosting high-level meetings and engaging Jewish leaders in discussions across the spectrum. However, these efforts must not be diluted by lumping anti-Semitism together with other forms of discrimination at this point. While all forms of hate should be addressed, anti-Semitism has unique characteristics that require a dedicated response.
So, did you hear that? So we don't want to dilute anti-Semitism with other forms of discrimination. So like if you're black or, whatever, we're not going to dilute that. So we just want to, keep it separate here. In other words, anti-Semitism is way better, way more important than all other forms of discrimination. Okay. Here's Meowder Mittens. I like this tweet. Says, yep, we've heard this before. Anti-racism. I will fight anti-Semitism every time I see it. I will support Israel every chance I get, but I will not go on witch hunts for this piece of shit. And they go through, if you can go through like 11 different examples of what actually anti-Semitism and how it can manifest, denying the Holocaust, accusing Jews of exaggerating it, accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel than their own nations. These are definitions that come right from the IHRA. These aren't my definitions, by the way. Denying the Jewish people the right to self-determination, i.e. claiming the existence of Israel is a racist endeavor, etc. Applying double standards to Israel, not expecting others for other nations, etc. So, but here's my favorite part. Here's where the rabbi tells the Senate hearing on anti-Semitism that it's not enough to just be anti-Semitic. You have to be anti-Semitic. Listen.
Anti-Semitism is not just an age-old prejudice. It is a contemporary crisis manifesting on campuses across the nation. It is not enough for individuals or institutions to merely claim they are not anti-Semitic. As my father once taught me, it is not enough for people, especially public figures, to be neutral or not be anti-Semitic. One must be anti-Semitic.
Okay. So double anti. Tony Moon says, so let's also write in that you must be anti-Asian, anti-Hispanic, anti-Black, anti-White. What's the point? So this anti-free speech bill will probably see, none of these members of Congress push back on this at all. I mean, they're just falling right in line with this. It's unbelievable as we watch our moves towards removing free speech in the United States of America, like something I can't believe conservatives are supporting. It's unbelievable to me.
This is Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh Bashem Ashai power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Kahala Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakodash, which are the true Hebrew names of the Most High Father, which is Hebrew for He is, and his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, which is Hebrew for He is salvation, He delivers. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 1/3 of Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. As you just seen in that video, Amalek, which is the biblical name of the people that you call so-called Jewish people, right? That's their true biblical identity, because again, they're not the people that they claim to be. They actually descend from Edom or Esau, which makes them the nation of Edom, or you call them Edomites, right? Now, the so-called Jewish people, they descend from the firstborn grandson of Esau, making them the basically head tribe. There we go. So Edom, they all descend from Esau, right? Well, Esau, he had his first son Eliphaz. Eliphaz slept with a concubine, and they had Amalek. Remember, Eliphaz is Esau's firstborn, making him the top tribe, right? And all his sons, where you get like Teman, Zepho, Omar, Kenez, Korah, right? And then also Esau's other wives. These are the tribes of Edom, okay? What you're looking at here, these names up here, these are the different, basically Edomites, the different Caucasian and Israelis out in the world. So when you see your Canadian Caucasians, your American Caucasians, your European Caucasians, your Norwegian Caucasians, French, they're all right here. They all descend from these people, but namely the Israelis, they descend from Amalek, okay? That's what makes them the Amalekites. Now, as you've seen, Amalek, he's coming down on this free speech, right? One telltale sign when they start to take over a nation, which, you know, history shows what they've done when they went into Russia, when they went into China, when they went into these other countries that they took over through communism, is that they first started to pass anti-Semitic laws, which again, anti-Semitic is a made-up, you know, name that they use, or they, should I say, weaponized, so that way you can't criticize them. See, the name really isn't Shem, it's Sham, right? Sham is Hebrew for name, which is how you would say the name of Noah's chosen son, Sham, right? So the thing is these devils, they've created a whole persona, a whole system behind this word and this system that they've created to shield themselves. Okay, because the thing is when you, again, let's go back to the Bible family timeline. Here you go, right? So the way it goes is Noah, you know, from the flood, he had 3 sons. Ham, which is where the Africans come from, right? African nations, Libya, and so forth, or should I say Libya, Ethiopians, Egyptians. Then you also had Japhet, who are basically the people who we know today as the people of the South Seas, the Fijians, Samoans, Hawaiians, Tongans, and, you know, even like the lower located Asian countries like Thailand and, you know, Malaysia, you know, like those places too, right? Like those would be like mixtures of like Japhet along with like the children of Lot, the so-called Chinese and so-called, you know, Japanese, you know, nations. But again, Noah's chosen son was Shem, right? Shem, as you would call him today. and Shem's chosen son was Arphaxad. Well, you see, every one of the nations which come from Shem. Well, let's get it real quick. You've all seen this image, right? It's the table of nations, the 18 biblical nations which exist upon the face of the earth today. Again, the 195 nations which the UN recognizes today all go back to these 18 nations. Now, like I said, those three groups, the green are Japhet, yellow is Ham, and blue is Shem, meaning all these nations here, right? Israel, the true Israelites, the Negro Latino Native Americans, Caucasians, Indians, or should I say Elam Indians, which include Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, the Assyria, which includes Syria, like up there, Armenia, you got Aram, which is Syria, same area, different people. You got Ishmael, which are the Arab nations like Qatar and Saudi Arabia, all those countries. You got Moab, which are Chinese, Ammon, and Japanese. All these nations, this huge mass of people, are all Shemitic. So that shows you that you really can't speak anti-Semitic and be targeting Amalek, the so-called Israelis, because it's a nonsense term when you understand its usage. But that's what Esau is depending on, that the world doesn't understand what Shemitic means, because if it did, then their facade would crumble and they would be exposed, which is going to happen soon because of what you're seeing happening now, right? They're starting to fulfill prophecy. They're starting to take the words of the Lord out of the world, right? They're going to start to come down on the truth, namely this gospel, right? That the Hebrew Israelites are pushing out, that they are not the true chosen people, that they are the Edomites, right? And that they're doing everything that they're doing, right? A lot of all that comes back to what we've been saying. It's all biblical. So you got people out there talking about the Illuminati, and it's these people, or it's the bankers, it's the deep state. No, it's Edom. It's these Edomites, okay? Namely, these Amalekites, which are the top tribe of Edom. But again, it's Edom that is doing all this stuff. And that's why they're now starting to have to come down on the words that people are speaking, namely this truth that we're pushing out there, because we're starting to expose them. The whole Khazarian, thing about them going back to Kege Bulan and them converting, that's all got out there because of us, the Hebrew Israelites, right? We've been telling the world who they are and what they've done, and now everybody is starting to look into this, and they're starting to see that it isn't some weird, crazy conspiracy. So you see, Esau is being exposed. This is 2 Timothy's 1 and 13. Hold fast the form of sound words which thou hast heard of me, in faith and love which is in the Messiah Yahushua. That good thing which was committed unto thee, keep by the Holy Ghost, which dwelleth in us. So you see, Akim, this truth is going to be attacked. And what does that mean, right? Are they going to come and swoop us up off the street? Probably not. But what they're going to do is they're going to start taking down a lot more of these videos. They're going to start to police speech and narrative online, which if it goes against Amalek, which a lot of the teachings that we teach do speak out against them, because we speak truth against who they are, and because their life is a lie, that is considered hate to them. Okay? Now, that being said, you have people that these Edomite devils have hired, right, to plague us in this truth. People like Vocab Malone and even infiltrated into these other camps, right? Like the one body in Yahushua camp, and there's a lot of other Hebrew camps. Usually you always want to kind of stick with Great Millstone and the independent brothers who are following Great Millstone, teaching the same doctrine, okay? And that, we're not out here making money, right? That's how you can tell, who's sincere about this truth. Also look at their fruits. Look at what they've done. Do they have street ministry? Do they, put up videos often? Do they do, do they know what's going on, right? Do they, speak lies, or are they telling the truth? These are the things that you need to start doing, Akim, to see who's telling you the truth, right? Look what just happened to the Sakari camp, right? They got a huge blow to them because of what's happened. But again, that right there was kind of like a whooping stick to basically take out all the sincere Akim out of Sakari, I believe, right? Everybody else who's stuck in Sakari, they're about something else. They're about their money, they're about the lifestyle, but they're not about the Lord, or else they wouldn't be in that stuff, right? But again, that's neither here nor there. The point being is that times are coming, Akim, where this word is going to start to become harder to get. So what you want to do is you want to hold fast to sound words, right? The teaching from the proper, prophets out there, right? Namely, the apostles of Great Millstone, the elders of Great Millstone, and all of us Akim out here who are teaching the lessons which resonate with you, which teach you the breakdowns as they're taught from our teachers which have come before us, right? The apostles of Great Millstone, the One West schools started all the way back with Abba Bivens, right? That's the path that the truth, came back into the world with. That's where the gospel has landed, Akim. So that being said, consider this your warning to start downloading and saving these words, because we're going to have to start basically having this information in us, right? We're going to have these videos offline, because who knows, these devils may take down the internet if their plans don't work. But the point being is that if you have a good lesson you like, find a way to download the video and save it on your phone, your computer, send it to other Akim, upload it yourself on a different channel, take it to a Rumble or all these different sites, push it forward, right? Help out the body, okay? If you have the ability to, Akim, right? If the Lord puts it on your spirit, take these lessons and upload them. I have a couple Akim out there who re-upload my lessons, and it's beautiful. The water Akim, right? And that's what we all should do, right? Actually, I should do that more often, right? But that's the thing. Esau, you can see the writing on the wall with these anti-Semitic laws coming out, with these hate speech laws going into effect, and basically them playing the victims, right? This is all to basically fulfill this prophecy, Akim. This is Psalms 91:1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The secret place of the Most High, Akim, is the truth of the Bible, the true narrative of the Bible, or what the Bible refers to as the gospel. Okay, that gospel, that good news that first was preached with Isaiah and was fulfilled by our Messiah, Yahweh Shai, right, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He basically redeemed us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline, so that way we can now be reconnected with the Most High Father, Yahweh. Okay? And that means that as long as you come back, right, as long as you dwell in the Lord's secret place, right, you come back to the true narrative of the Bible, meaning you understand what the Bible is actually talking about. You understand God's true name, His only begotten Son's true name. You understand the true narrative that, things like there wasn't an actual virgin birth, but it was a young woman of marriageable age who gave birth to the Messiah, who was of the seed of David, for example. And that He came and died for His people, who at that time were referred to as the Israelites, or the 12 tribes of Israel, but who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which you, through your bloodline, are, through your father's bloodline, I should say. See, that's what you need to know, Akim. That's what we need to have in our minds when we go into this, right? Because Esau is going to want to try to strip this away, right? He's going to leave you with your Cardi B's and your Sexy Reds, your Jennifer Lopez, your all these different celebrities and different narratives, right? The crisis after crisis, so that way you get discombobulated and you forget this truth. You don't look it up, right? You think you're going to have the links on YouTube. You're going to think you have links to all these. Well, what if your internet goes down? What if your power goes down? Right? This truth needs to be saved either in your mind or on a book, some sort of physical medium. Because again, without electricity, this computer, this video, this phone that you're watching this lesson on won't turn on. And these words won't repeat. Right? So this is why the Lord said to hold fast to that which was committed unto thee. And also, but notice that's because that's the secret place of the Most High. And as long as you have that information, those sound words, that's the secret place of the Most High. And knowing that information, then you're not going to worry about when Esau's trying to bamboozle the world by bringing forward his next emergencies or his next false flags, right? Because you'll know what the Lord told us to do, right? Because you'll know the prophecies that we're waiting for. One of those prophecies being that there's going to be a famine of hearing the Bible. This is Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. So that's the point, Akim, right? We got to make sure that we seek Yahweh, the Most High Father. And to get to the Most High Father, you have to, first praise and call upon His Son, Yahweh Shai. So again, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash, which is, God in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Right? That's how you call upon the Lord, and you ask for Him, right? You pray to Him, and then you seek that blessing, right? And then also you do the works to the best of your ability. That way you be a more pure vessel to be able to receive that blessing, to be able to be a conduit of the Lord. Because that's really what we're doing, Akim, right? In not trying to not sin, trying to obey the law. You're purifying yourself, right? You're making yourself a more conductive vessel to receive a stronger dose of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, right? God's Spirit, right? The more purified you are, the more fervent for this truth you feel, right? The more defiled you are, the more away from this truth you start to go, right? The more the importance of this truth fades away. And we see it all the time, right? With people who fall out, people who are here are fervent, they're giving everything, but then after a couple months, after a couple of years, and they fade out. See, this is why we gotta, it's a marathon, not a race, right? As they say. This is why you gotta just keep at it, be consistent. Don't worry about churning it out and, being like the apostles, man. That's why they're the apostles and the elders, right? They're the superstars of this thing, right? We're your average, Hebrew Israelite citizens, right? We do the best we can, and again, depending on the Spirit that the Lord puts on you, your fruit's going to show, what you're going to bring forth. So let's read this. Is Isaiah 55:6. Seek ye Yahweh b'Shem El Shai while He may be found. Call ye upon Him while He is near. So basically, don't wait till it's too late. Right now, you get these lessons, you get this truth, you go through the history that the Akim, the apostles teach, right? Get all this information in, so that way you have a better understanding of what's going on, so that when scoffers do try to come up and persuade you, but can't give actually any response to your questions because you've learned and you've studied, then you can easily quench the darts of the wicked. Verse 7. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return unto Yahweh, and He will have mercy upon him, and to our power, for He will abundantly pardon. So hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, B'Shem Ruach Kodash. Shalom.